Hello and welcome into another fantasy hockey video. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you my top 5 undervalued defensemen in this year's draft. Before I get into that though, I'd like to thank you for helping me reach 300 subscribers. I've gained about over 60 in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. That's about 1/5 of my subscriber total, and it's come in a very short period of time. I'm very surprised. I get the notifications of when you guys subscribed, and it's shocking to me that many people are subscribing because it's just something I'm not used to considering I've been making videos for 2 years. So thank you. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And definitely hit the like button. That gets the video more recommended, and we can grow that total even more. Thank you so much again. Let's get into the first defenseman, though. Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie had it done in Toronto. Not putting much stock in that, to be honest. I think it was just a bad fit. Had Morgan Rielly there, who also took some power play time from him. Now he's going to be the definitive power play quarterback for a team with McDavid and Draisaitl on their first unit, which this is going to be the best power play unit Tyson Barrie's ever been on. And you look at the numbers he put up in Colorado: power play points 30 in 17-18, 25 power play points in 18-19, 59 points in 78 games. He should have his best points per game of his career considering the situations he is in now. And no reason that he should be going as the 22nd defenseman off the board. He has real top 5 potential, in my opinion. I expect him to be a top 10 fantasy defenseman this year for points leagues, not categories. I do not play category leagues. And top 15 minimum. If he's outside the top 15, you can label this a major bust on my part to recommend him. That being said, look at the power play unit. McDavid and Draisaitl, don't hesitate. Reach on him. Tony DeAngelo. Tony DeAngelo finished 5th last year in points amongst fantasy defensemen. Was in his second full NHL season and put up 53 points in 68 games. He's a late bloomer. See guys like this all the time. Maybe they go the college route, so when they get to the NHL, they're a little older. Maybe they just don't figure things out until they're a little older. And Tony DeAngelo is just a late bloomer, and that's what it is. So I think some people are sleeping on him because he doesn't have a long resume. And he's not known by a lot of people to be an elite power play guy yet, but he's turning into one in front of our eyes. And he had 19 power play points last year, which is pretty solid, 53 points in 68 games, which means that 5-on-5, this guy is also doing work and getting points. And he's going to be on a power play unit this year with Mika Zibanejad, who had the best goals per game last year in the whole league, Artemi Panarin, who's one of the best playmakers in the league, Chris Kreider, big body, good net front presence. Let's. I'm not sure if this Lafreniere on there is right yet, but let's assume it is. Let's say he is that superstar player. You're just adding another lethal weapon to an already loaded power play that Tony DeAngelo will be the quarterback of. He's going as 23rd off the board. I'm assuming that's because the rankings for Yahoo are tampered by categories leagues. Maybe they think that the rankings are tampered by points leagues. Either way, I think this is definitely not a representation of how good Tony DeAngelo is for fantasy, considering he's the 23rd defenseman off the board and was ranked in the top 5 last year. When I see that, I think he's probably going to be a top 10 fantasy hockey defenseman this year for points leagues. And, he might even take a step forward even more. Probably not, though. Probably just expect what you got last year out of him, which is more than enough to warrant taking him as a 23rd defenseman off the board. Also, another thing, when looking at ADP, don't do it for a defenseman. It's very different in every draft where you have to take these guys. For the pure fact, there's usually a defenseman will go, then another defenseman will go, and then a run of them will go. And that's where you have to start thinking, do I take a defenseman now? Do I just say, screw it, and I'll focus on defense later? That really determines how you pick defense, in my opinion. So ADP, don't even look at that. Just monitor when the defensemen start going, or if you want to be that guy to get it going, you might start throwing. That being said, just keep that in mind when looking at ADP. More look at where they're going amongst their peers at their own position. We then go into Neal Pionk, and I believe this is just wrong that he's not listed here, considering he was one of the best power play quarterbacks in the league last year. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Daily Faceoff, which is the site I get these graphics from, is just wrong here. But, it's early in the season. A lot of stuff's happening. A lot of releases from the camps come out. Maybe Morrissey was practicing on the first power play, so they moved him here. That happens a lot, but Neal Pionk is the guy here, no doubt in my mind. He's going as the 16th defenseman off the board, and he's the 6th ranked, or he was the 6th ranked defenseman last year. This guy has top 10 potential again. He's going to be playing on a loaded power play unit, which is so loaded that Nikolai Ehlers couldn't even find his way on it last year. We'll see if that changes this year. Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Patrick Laine, and insert Neal Pionk there. You got yourself a fantasy stud who has top 10 potential, no doubt. And he's going as the 16th defenseman off the board. Assuming that this is wrong, definitely monitor if you draft later. I would go ahead and just assume that this is wrong. He's a top 10 fantasy defenseman if he's on this unit this year, no doubt. Let's go into another guy who I think is one of the most fun to talk about of the guys on this list, and that is Rasmus Dahlin. Former first overall pick about 2 years ago, and nothing but great things to see from him offensively in his career so far. And this power play unit that he's going to be the quarterback of for years to come in Buffalo just got Taylor Hall added to it. So it is going to be the most loaded it's been for him his whole career. Sam Reinhart, very solid player. Jack Eichel, superstar. Taylor Hall, superstar if he can get back to that form. Victor Olofsson is a lethal sniper. You may not know it yet. Pay attention to Victor Olofsson. I used him in like a sleeper video or two because I'm pretty high on Victor Olofsson, who I think will be a top 75 player, and he's going well outside the top 100. Kid's got a shot. He had some health issues last year, so if he stays fully healthy, Eichel stays fully healthy, Hall stays fully healthy, Rasmus Dahlin is going to eat. Last year, he was 12th in the league amongst defensemen in points per game. The kid's only 20, can't even legally drink in Buffalo, so there's definitely more growth to be had here as a defenseman, defensively, but also offensively. This kid is going to be a weapon in the league for years to come. 17th defenseman off the board. I think it's realistic to think this guy can finish anywhere from 5th to 15th. I think he's just a great value pick because of his upside, and I really see there's no way he finishes under this projection, so I think he should be going higher than this. I think he's very, very much has a good shot at being top 10 this year. We then go to a guy who's going pretty late. No upside really here, but for him to get better because he's 34 is Keith Yandle. Now, there's a few things that you got to be thinking about with Keith Yandle here. And maybe he's more known in points leagues, so maybe I shouldn't have picked him. I thought the first four I picked were very clearly undervalued, whereas this guy's undervalued, but it was kind of harder to pick a fifth guy because I wanted to pick fun options. Keith Yandle is just kind of a known commodity, but despite that, he's going as a 32nd defenseman off the board. Last year, he ranked 17th amongst defensemen. He played the 5th most power play time in the league per game last year, 15th best points per game amongst defensemen. Keith Yandle is just a solid fantasy hockey player and has been most of his career. There's really no reason to think he's going to take a downward step this year because he has no competition for power play time on that team, which is why he plays so much. And they got Huberdeau and Barkov, which is enough, in my opinion, to warrant Keith Yandle being a top 20 defenseman for like God knows how many straight years. He's just always up there in the points leagues. So I think if you're drafting a defenseman pretty late, Keith Yandle is very undervalued for what he's brought to the table the last few years. And, maybe he does take a step back because he is 34. But I really don't see it yet. There's really no reason to just assume he's going to drop off. 34, some people just cruise until they're 40 at hockey. Some people drop off a cliff at this age. But I think it's just like a very solid pick because it's very unlikely Keith Yandle finishes outside of the top 30. I'd be pretty surprised there, and he should be the definitive power play quarterback in Florida. That being said, those are my top 5 undervalued fantasy hockey defensemen. You may have noticed I didn't use pictures this video. I didn't use a background picture. That's because I'm trying to avoid the copyright police and them going after me. I found this guy, Victor Hanasek, online. He has cool pictures. You can check him out. I'll leave a link down below. And the background picture I've used for all these slides except the opening one with just my beautiful face. That was his picture he took in like Iceland of like some frozen ice or something. I just thought it looked cool, so I used it as a background. It said it was free to use and he didn't mind content creators, so I shoved that in there. Feel free to check him out. As always, thank you again, or not as always, but thank you again for 300 subscribers, and definitely like the video if you like it, and hit the subscribe button if you like my coverage, you want to follow my content going forward. That'll be all for today. Late upload on Tuesday night, but I don't really care. Just gotta get it up for you guys to have before the draft. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.